तत्परम्पर्यय विद्महे ज्ञानलिङ्गेश्वराय धीमहि तन्नो गुरुः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ योगमहर्षि डॉक्टर स्वामी गीतानंद गिरी गुरु महाराज की जय। नमस्ते, वणक्कम, स्वागतम। We have just completed a very beautiful night of Lord Shiva, Maha Shivaratri. And as done for the past 5 decades, a special Abhishekam, a puja, is done for the lingam that is placed below the Shiva Shakti Ananda Tandava at Sri Kambli Swami Madam. This gigantic statue was one of the first things that Swamiji built in the early 70s when he took over as Madhadipati of Sri Kambli Swami Madam. And that lingam is in fact the original lingam that was placed on the samadhi of our Param Guru, Srila Shri Akhanda Paripurna Sachidananda Kambli Jnanadesika Swamigal. And when Swamiji took over as Madhadipati, he found this lingam and he said, "What is this lingam which is lying in the corner?" And they said it was the lingam that was originally placed on Kambli Swami after he took Mahasamadhi. And then, as usual, problems with people and someone damaged it. Hence, another lingam was placed on Kambli Swami's Samadhi and this lingam had been discarded. The base was damaged. So Swamiji took the lingam itself, leaving the yoni that had been damaged, and placed it with ceremonial rituals that are done at the cylindrical hollow cylinder that lies under the Shiva Shakti Ananda Tandava. And every year on the occasion of Mahashivaratri, a special puja is done, and the devotees, they get an opportunity to climb in this cylinder and be there with the beautiful energy of that Shivalingam. I always remember Swami Yogananda Giri of Savona, Altari, who, when he was studying with Swamiji in the 80s, spent 3 days inside there as a sadhana. You spend 20 minutes in there and it's a sauna bath. It's so hot inside there. Only the one vent in the top through which you come in and go out. Following that, all the beautiful ceremonies that are done and the chanting of the 1008 Panchakshara Japa. And then normally we have a procession from Kambli Swami Madam to Ananda Ashram. This year the procession got modified a bit. And then here we take the lingam into the waters, and the lingam made of clay, the sand lingam, Prithvi lingam, which has been worshipped the whole night, is then taken and offered into the ocean, letting it dissolve back into the source. When we talk about the concept of lingam, linga matra alingani, says Maharishi Patanjali. When you go inside, when you start to go inward and you start to have the capacity to be absorbed with what is there, that journey, as you go deeper and deeper, you come to a point which is called linga matra. Everything else has fallen apart, fallen away on your journey. But still, there is something that is marked, that which is still marked is called Linga Matra. And then you go from the marked state to the unmarked. You move from markedness to unmarkedness. Linga Matra Alingani Gunaparvani, says Maharishi Patanjali. The lingam is the threshold between the manifest and the unmanifest, the non-manifest. And this is why when we talk about the unmanifest, anahata, nada, we are talking about that pure vibration that just exists. That pure vibration of the universe that is the unmanifest, nada. It coalesces together into a point, bindu. And then from that starts the whole drama, kala. Nada bindu kala. Nada bindu kala di namo nama. Nada bindu kala di namo nama. As sung by the great saint Arunagirinatha. The Guru Stotra tells us, bindu nada kalati. You are looking at that which is beyond the bindu nada kala. That bindu is the lingam. Because if you look at the lingam from above, you will realize it is a bindu. When you look at it from below, it is a pillar of stability. It is a pillar of stability to which you can hold on in times of difficulties. When you are unstable, you can hold on to the lingam for stability. It is the pillar of stability in your life. Yet, when you grow in consciousness and you see it from above, you realize it is a point, it is a bindu. So that column which is the lingam is actually a continuous continuum of points. Point makes the column, but it is ultimately all one point. It is a bindu. Now, if you understand that a line is only a moving dot. If you missed it, I'm going to repeat it. A line is a moving dot. So the dot is the bindu. When you move that, you create a line. So the bindu is the lingam, and because it is moving, what do you mean by moving? It is constantly growing. It is constantly in the process of transformation. Shiva is the process of transformation, the energy of transformation. And hence that bindu is continuously moving, and hence it is seen from below as a column, yet it is a moving bindu. It is a growing, transforming bindu. This is why in Indian culture, Sanatana Dharma, these concepts which are metaphysical were brought down into the grasp of anybody who wished to obtain them through the process of Bhakti Yoga. Through the process of Bhakti, we start to understand the role of the divinity in everything. Bhakti Yoga is the capacity to perceive the divine in everything and everything in the divine. That is the state of Bhakti. Hence, events like the Mahashivaratri give us an opportunity to explore these concepts in reality, to explore them through our body by performing certain tapasya, staying awake the whole night, chanting continuously, walking a padayatra. All of this is meant for us to experience in our very selves the metaphysical concepts. Bring those metaphysical concepts down into each and every cell of yours so that you can feel it from within. This morning, I also wanted to explore a very necessary teaching of Maharishi Patanjali. And that is a teaching of Pratipaksha Bhavana. In modern times, this has been again taken and they created CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Prati Paksha Bhavanam. The word bhava is translated as an attitude. I would like to say that it is a state of being. Bhavana is a state of being. Where you are in a state of being is your bhavan. Normally in India, we call the houses, palaces, places to stay, they are called bhavan. Arya Bhavan is a place where people can stay. Usually they'll have food also. Rashtrapati Bhavan is where our President of India stays. Our family name Bhavanani comes from that. These are the group of people who love to be at home. You are at home. If you are truly at home with yourself, you are at ease with yourself. So the word bhava is to manifest and be. And when you are in that state of being, you have a certain attitude, bhavana. And what is your own bhavana? Subhava. Subhava is your own state of being that creates your attitude and be attitude. So the word bhavana, we just say, attitude, and we go on. We do not understand the multidimensionality of these words. Bhavanam implies an attitude, a state of being. It is a state of being where your emotions are manifesting. Your emotions are in a beautiful state of balance when you are being. When you are caught up with doing, your emotions are going to be volatile. Because being implies balance. Doing implies imbalance. And this is why in the process of growth, we have to first do and then we have to be. Because you have to first go into the imbalance for the balance to manifest. It is imbalance followed by balance. It is the Shpanda followed by Nishpanda. It is if you look at the scales have to first go out of balance. Up and down, up and down, up and down, and finally they settle into balance. The doing is always going to be moving to the extremes. Doing too much or not doing enough. Doing too much or not doing enough. The continuum from one extreme to the other. And in the center lies balance. That is where bhavana is found. So the karma is the doing part, the bhavana is the being part. So the bhavana is a state of being where there is balance. And in this balance, you start to actually understand the bigger picture. This is why Maharishi Patanjali calls this Prati Paksha Bhavanam. Paksha means a side. In Tamil we say Pakkam. Anda Pakkam, Inda Pakkam. Pakkam is the Tamil word. Paksha is Sanskrit. Paksha, Vipaksha. You find these type of terms. Another word that comes out of this is Bhaga. Bhaga, Vibhaga. Paksha, Vipaksha, Bhaga, Vibhaga. Pakkam in Tamil. A bird is called a Pakshi with its wings. So just like the bird has the right and left wings, you have the right and left sides. Vama Paksha, Dakshina Paksha. Vama is the left. Dakshina is the right. Vama Paksha, Dakshina Paksha. Vama the left, Dakshina the right. In fact, Ardhanarishwara, the form of Lord Shiva, who has half Shiva on the right and half Parvati on the left. When we sing Vama Bhaga, we say that the Devi is on the left half. Vama Bhaga, Vama Paksha. So Paksha implies a side. When you use the term side, you mean either right side or left side. So Paksha cannot be balanced. Bhava can be balanced. Paksha cannot be balanced because either you are on the right or you are in the left. You are not in the center when you are in both of them. As we say with the brains, when you are completely in your left brain, there is nothing right about it. When you are completely in your right brain, there is nothing left. Because you have gone to one side. But where does the bhavana lie? Bhavana lies in the center. Not on the right and not on the left. That is why bhavanam implies pratipaksha bhavanam. I'll come to prati in a few moments. It means that you have actually transcended the dualities of right and left, and you have come to a state of balance. That is what actually is implied here. Prati. Prati means the opposite, contrary. So let's get back to this. Bhavanam is a state of balance. Paksha, the two opposites, right and left, in and out, the dualities, they are called dvandva. Dva. Dva means two. Dvandva. Ammaji used to say, dvandvas are the two twos. And yes, Gurulin, you are correct. The bindu lies in the center. The bindu is not on the extremes, it lies in the center. That is why we put the kumkum, the bindu, at the bhru madhya, the center point between the eyebrows. For design, people can put it any place they want. Prati is contrary, opposite. Now, why does Maharishi Patanjali put these three words together? Prati, Paksha, Bhavanam. If you want to be in a state of balance, that is the Bhavana, you have to deal with the contrary opposing forces, the Pakshas. And how do you bring balance? By going to the opposite side, Prati. You know, if something is like this, I have to bring this down and bring this up. If this is up, I have to do this. So when something is imbalanced, this is imbalance, what do I have to do? I have to do the opposite. By moving in the opposite direction, I come to balance. If it is like this, what do? I move in the opposite direction to create balance. So you are making a choice, the superpower of being human. You are making a choice to go in the opposite direction to whatever is happening, not for the sake of being in the opposite direction, not to be an antagonist, not to be confrontationalist, but for the sake of balance. So it looks like you are going against things. You are not going against things. You are balancing things. So Pratipaksha Bhavanam has always been translated, and I've also done it, adopting the contrary attitude. Why are you adopting the contrary attitude? Nobody cares. So you say, take the opposite perspective. Why you are taking it? Why you are choosing to become aware of the opposite perspective is to balance the imbalanced state you already are in. We are in a state of imbalance. Remember, doing is the imbalance. So in the doing there has been the imbalance. You want to reset and you want to move from imbalance to balance. And in order to move from imbalance to balance, you have to go against that which is causing the imbalance in the first place. You have to be cognitive of it and change your behavior. So it became Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT. Copyright Maharishi Patanjali, couple of thousand years ago. Talk about intellectual property theft. There's a lot of that. Cultural misappropriation, loads of it. Maharishi Patanjali is giving us this technique, Pratipaksha Bhavanam, as a means to correct the imbalances that are there and regain the state of balance, because yoga is balance. Imbalance is not yoga. Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Now, it is when you move against the imbalance, when you set right. Anybody who's done any work with trying to balance things will know that. There will be a factor that is causing imbalance. You have to go in the opposite direction of that factor in order to create balance. That is where the Pratipaksha is coming in. Why Pratipaksha? Because one paksha, one side is already imbalanced. If your right is already imbalanced, you have to go on to the left in order to balance it. If the left is already imbalanced, you have to go on to the right to balance it. And this is a very simple rule that is applied in Yoga Chikitsa, Yoga Therapy. It is Yoga Therapy, Yoga Chikitsa, because you are resetting the balance. It is a reset of balance. A good question from Rudy. Turning the other cheek. This has always been given as an example of it. Now, this type of teaching, turn the other cheek, will be very, very useful if you live in a society who has a conscience. If you live in a society that has some heart and mind and soul to it. It is like the teaching that those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Or as Jesus the Christ said, let he who has not committed a sin throw the first stone. Now in those days people had some conscience that they didn't throw the stone. And if you turn the other cheek, they would not slap you again. Today we live in a world where in order to cover up their sins, they will throw the stone. And we live in a world where if you turn the opposite cheek, that will also be slapped. We have become a race of imbeciles, lacking conscience, lacking heart, mind and soul, and only focusing on material gain at any cost. Now can you see that's already a state of imbalance? Total state of imbalance. And this is why these great teachings have to be understood in the context. Pratipaksha Bhavanam is an internal choice. You are making an internal choice to attempt and restore balance that has been lost. You want to attempt to restore. You want to restore balance. Now, if you want to restore balance, The choice is from within. And yes, Brahmanandji, sometimes poison in small doses is the best medicine. Medicine is dilute poison, and concentrated medicine becomes poison. So medicine in concentration becomes poison, poison in dilution becomes medicine. Again, Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Understanding certain things need to be in concentration, certain things need to be in dilution. Whether something should be in concentration or dilution, the perspective comes from within us. And this is why Mahatma Gandhi was so right. The change has to come from within. And you have to be the change you want to see in the world. We want everybody else to change. We don't want to change. Because our ego says we are the best version of everything. Pain and suffering, Kim, dukkha, has been the state of humanity for thousands of years. And that is why the Buddha tried to tell us, Maharishi Patanjali tried to tell us, Christ tried to tell us, Muhammad tried to tell us, all the Tirthakas of the Jain tradition tried to tell us, all the great souls have tried to tell us that we human beings are caught in suffering and pain, painful suffering called dukkha. And this dukkha is because of avidya, ignorance. So if you are suffering because of ignorance, for God's sake, what are you to do? Go the opposite way. Get rid of ignorance. Until and unless we get rid of the ignorance of who we are, tasya hetur avidya, the root cause analysis, tasya hetu, what is the root cause of all the dukkha, is avidya. And because of avidya, because of ignorance, we have attachment. And because of attachment comes pain and suffering. What is the reverse of it? Attachment, non-attachment. That is where vairagya comes in. The capacity to take a step back and perceive things as they are rather than as we want them to be. Suddenly you have gone up that column from the base of your spine up into the prefrontal cortex, and suddenly you see things as they are. You know, when you have your nose down in the dirt, you cannot see anything but the dirt. And that is why one needs to elevate oneself. And Rama Reddy sir, you know, Patanjali has said upekshanam. Upekshanam does not mean not fighting. It means that you may have to fight, but don't get attached to your fighting. Arjuna, as a Pandava, on the side of Dharma where the divine Krishna is, had to fight against the adharma being represented by the Kauravas, but he was not able to fight because of attachment. And so, Lord Krishna actually is advising upekshanam is non-attachment in order for him to fulfill his dharma. So the teachings of Krishna and Maharishi Patanjali go hand in hand here. Fight the battle for the sake of fighting. Be indifferent, upekshanam, towards the result of your fighting. Your dharma is to fight the good battle. Again, restore balance. Arjuna has to fight the battle against adharma so that the imbalance between dharma and adharma can come back together. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkratam dharma samstapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge, guarantees Lord Krishna. Even as I chant this, I have goosebumps. The whole body is dharma samsthapanarthaya. Why? Because there has become an imbalance between dharma and adharma. So the divine consciousness, Krishna, has to incarnate to set right the imbalance by going in the opposite direction. And in this case, it is the manifestation of violence. Hence, you have some yogi idiots out there who claim the Bhagavad Gita is a violent scripture because it is advocating violence. Imagine the level of the intelligent quotient in such people who have been at the bottom and cannot understand the teaching is of setting right the imbalance. It looks like violence, but it is not violence. It is the restoration of balance without attachment. Non-attached action to set right the imbalance. Yada yada hi dharmasya glane bhavati bharata abhyutan adharmasya tadatmanam shrujamyaham. Whenever adharma is going up and dharma is going down, it is a state of imbalance. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam. To again balance between the dushkrita and the sadhu, between the righteous and the unrighteous. When the righteousness dims and the unrighteous is on the ascent, I shall incarnate, says the divine consciousness. Why? Not to come and eat pizza, not to come and have the best cappuccino, not to come and enjoy the beachfront. Manifest for the sake of restoration of balance. It is all a manifestation of restoring balance, pratipaksha bhavanam. Because we are constantly being thrown off balance. The factors that cause imbalance are called vitarka. Vitarkas are all the factors that are causing us to move from balance into imbalance. The imbalancing factors are vitarka. And Maharishi Patanjali advises us. He says, this path is not easy. It's definitely not easy. That is why you need Shraddha, Virya, Samadhi, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna. He says it's not easy. But what does he tell us? He says, be aware. He puts up a big sign, beware of the deviance. Beware of all these factors, the vitarkas, that will throw you off balance before you know what is happening to you. You won't even know what is happening and you have become imbalanced. You won't even know it. They are so insidious. Vitarkas are so insidious, but Patanjali says, be aware for them, watch out for them, be alert, be careful, full of care, be mindful, full of mind, because these deviants are insidious, they are going to be there. You never know when they are going to grab you and drag you down to the bottomless pit. And that is why he advises in the sadhana pada. Part of one's sadhana is pratipaksha bhavanam. It is a very important part of yoga sadhana. The constant 24-hour mindfulness, carefulness, alertness, watching out for the deviant vitarkas. It is like the soldier guarding the frontiers. The soldiers guarding the frontiers have to be alert every second, day and night. Every second, day and night, that soldier has to be alert. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. The price of freedom is eternal vigilance. Winston Churchill. He was talking about different freedom and vigilance. The same message on the spiritual path. The price of freedom, Kaivalya, is eternal vigilance on the path. The sadhana pada requires eternal vigilance because you are constantly watching out for the deviants that are going to throw you off balance. Because they distort your perspective. They distort your perspective, and the moment you have moved away from a clear, balanced perspective, they have got you now by your toes. No escape anymore. This is why I always say the Yoga Sutras would make a great horror movie. Because you have all these angles. Hands coming up through the floor and catching you, and just when you are thinking you are safe, suddenly, you get coiled by a vine. All the deviants are just waiting for you to drop your guard. And that is why Maharishi Patanjali is saying, be aware, mindful, 24-hour. That is why yoga is a 24-hour, every second, every kshana, sadhana. What we do on the mat, the practices we do, are one part of it. But the bigger picture is every moment to be alert, to be vigilant. Am I being thrown off the path? Am I being thrown off balance by the deviants? And a rule of thumb Maharishi Patanjali gives us. Anything that is contrary to the yama niyama is a deviant. You say, how do I identify the deviants? He has given us this very clearly. The vitarkas are factors that are contrary to yama niyama. So yama niyama become the gold standard against which you can evaluate the deviance. Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Brahmacharya and Aparigraha. Saucha, Santosha, Tapas, Swadhyaya, Ishvara, Pranidhana. The 5 yama, the 5 niyama. You look at these 5 yama, 5 niyama, the 10 golden rules of mindful living. And you look at every thought, every action in you and evaluate it against the gold standard of yama niyama. The moment it is moving away from the yama niyama, it is a deviant, it is a vitarka. And that is why vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. The moment the vitarkas surface, be alert to the vitarkas and deal with them as appropriate to regain balance. And Gurlin, it's a good question. Are vitarkas part of sanchita karma? That is also a good way to look at it. Because the vitarkas are definitely going to be highly influenced by our samskara vasanas, and hence our sabija sanchita karma will be part of it. Which is again why dharma, living your dharma is part of pratipaksha bhavanam to mitigate the deviant of karma. Another perspective on that. When we realize that the yama niyama are the gold standard, the gold standard, how do I know whether something is a deviant or not? Look at it through the prism of yama niyama. And yes, Brahmanand, my blessings for your project. I think it is very important that these teachings are brought to life through illustrations. My dear Eridani in New Zealand has done a lot of those illustrations of the Yoga Sutra. While I was teaching in the ashram and she was here, She used to make these beautiful drawings and cartoons that brought out these concepts. Any methodology through which these teachings can come alive in a sadhaka must be adopted. Vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam. The moment you find the vitarkas surfacing, immediately adopt pratipaksha bhavanam so that you regain balance. Because if you do not deal with them immediately, it's going to be too late. A stitch in time saves 9. Prevention is better than cure. All of these sayings have come out of life experiences of people who did not practice Pratipaksha Bhavanam. The moment the deviant comes into your consciousness, the deviant will always want you to do what is easy. The deviant will always want you to do what is pleasant. It will never want you to do that which is tough yet right. And this is why Dharma is doing the right thing for the right person, in the right way, at the right time, in the right manner. And in order to know what is it to be done, what is appropriate for that moment, one needs to be very mindful and be in the moment. One of the greatest contributions of Maharishi Patanjali is Pratipaksha Bhavana. It's easy to say, oh, if you hate somebody, replace the thoughts of hate with love. This is New Age spirituality. New Age pseudo spirituality. I wish it was so easy, okay? One needs to change one's perspective. One needs to grow. And yes, Rachana, the Brahma Mudra is such a beautiful, practical way to develop Pratipaksha Bhavana. Because when you do Brahma Mudra, you are enhancing your perspective. When you enhance your perspective, you will become balanced. Because you are starting to understand what is that perspective, what is this perspective, what is that perspective, and what is this perspective. And each time you move away from your perspective, you come back. And so your perspective starts to grow to include other perspectives. The more your perspective expands to include other perspectives, the more balanced your perspective will be. And the corollary, the less your perspective includes other perspectives, the more imbalanced you will be. When it is only me, your perspective is guaranteed to be imbalanced. When you move from me to we, when you move from that me to we, at that moment, that change elevates your perspective. And as you elevate your perspective and you expand your perspective, you have diluted the poison. As you expand your perspective, you dilute the poison, and that which would normally kill you what happens is that which doesn't kill you makes you a better version of yourself. Because you have elevated your perspective by choice. What happens is you elevate your perspective by choice, not somebody else doesn't do it for you. And yes, Devlal ji, all the so-called New Age spirituality is just old wine in new bottles with copyright, trademark and patent. And it is all intellectual property theft of the ancestral lineages, and it is all criminal theft of intellectual property rights of the great cultures of ancient times. Just packaged without credit to the source. The great rishis who have given us these teachings. So important. When we expand our perspective, it is a practice of Pratipaksha Bhavanam. When we start to open our perspective that there are other perspectives on this planet, suddenly what happens? You move from that survival instinct that drives. The survival instinct drives the vitarkas. All these deviants are based on survival instinct. Abhinivesha klesha. And that is why you are actually going against the survival instinct in this growth. In the beginning of the session, there was a question of turning the opposite cheek. Turning the opposite cheek is actually going against the survival instinct. To forgive someone for the wrong they have done to you is actually going against the survival instinct. And that is why Pratipaksha Bhavanam is a choice you are making to go against the survival instinct and grow from survival instinct, which is spinal cord behavior, primitive reptilian mammalian conditioning. You want to truly become human and grow out of that quicksand. You want to grow out of the quicksand. You want to grow in consciousness and elevate yourself to understand the bigger perspective. We talk about eagle's eye perspective. We want the divine eye perspective. And again, Deolalji, what happens is today it is becoming all about marketing. And if people want to market, it means they are still caught in the survival instinct. Marketing is the business manifestation of survival instinct. And just go on the net and see all the spiritual masters advertising as being the most spiritually elevated ones. If you see that advertisement, please, for God's sake, run in the opposite direction. That is your Pratipaksha Bhavanam. Opposite direction, running from such people who advertise, come to me, instant samadhi guaranteed. Run away. Pratipaksha, remember, run in the opposite direction to such people. Scoundrels of the first order have infiltrated the spiritual world because they can get away with anything they want. We need to be vigilant. Nobody can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Others can support you. The Sangha, the Satsanga can support an individual sadhana. But the Satsanga, the Sangha is not a replacement for your own Purushartha, your own individual self-effort that has to come from the power of internal choice. Pratipaksha Bhavanam is going against these tendencies. And one of the tendencies we find is the tendency of the manifestation of the gunas themselves. The gunas themselves are a tendency in which we are caught. The gunas, and that is why Pratiprasava, when you want that final freedom of Kaivalya, you have to go against the guna vritti virodacha. The guna vritti viroda. The gunas are, their vrittis are pulling you away. Even the guna vritti becomes a deviant, a vitarka. You need to go virodacha against that. Again a Pratipaksha Bhavanam in that. And most of the modern gurus are sad gurus. Not Sadgurus these days, they are sad gurus. And they are definitely piling on dukkha and sadness on so many. To use the word guru for such people itself is an insult to the traditions of this living culture. Before I end today, Pratipaksha Bhavanam is not just a theoretical, conceptual framework that you learn for the sake of passing your exam. It is one of the most key aspects of yogic living. Every moment, eternal vigilance. Being aware when the deviants come into your consciousness, when they are pulling you away from the path, and dealing with them as appropriate at that moment in order to restore balance. Dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. From time to time, sambhavami yuge yuge, says Lord Krishna. I will come back from time to time whenever the dharma and adharma are imbalanced. How is Krishna going to come back? Through each and every one of us. How does the divine see? Through our eyes. How does the divine perceive? Through our minds. How does the divine work? Through our hands. How does the divine move? Through our feet. Ayam me hasto Bhagavan, ayam me Bhagavan. What a great teaching. The responsibility of moving from doing to being. Moving from a state of imbalance to a state of balance. Moving from a state of suffering, dukkha, to a state of being at ease with yourself, sukha. That is the journey we need to make. And Pratipaksha Bhavanam, as given to us by Maharishi Patanjali in the Sadhana Pada, Vitarka Bhadane Pratipaksha Bhavanam. One of the most important tools to put into action every moment of our life. Dhanyavadaha. Thank you so much for being with me. If you were not there on the other side, well, it would be tough talking to myself, because when we express to others, we are actually expressing to ourselves. And yes, the ashram Kakabhushandis are always active in my sessions, Deolalji, and they keep on reminding me that our ancestors in Indian culture, the crows, embody the souls of our ancestors. And I always feel it's not a disturbance, but it is the blessing of our ancestors who is accompanying me on each and every one of these sessions. Thank you very much for being with me, everyone. May you all be blessed and be a blessing wherever you are. Namaste.